I don't go live. Hello, everyone. Hello. Can anyone hear me? Good evening, good afternoon, anywhere
Yes, I
you're
can.
watching from. Hello. Thank you for joining me today. Welcome
Hello?
to the Power Woman series. My name is Seun Akinloton, and I'm
It's
the
a bit
founder of
muffled.
Point Success. Hello? Can you hear me? And I'm the founder of On Point Success. Welcome to the Power Woman series. I have a guest with me today, Jumoke Oyebode. But before we get started, may I please request that you leave me your name and your location. Let me know where you're watching from. Share this video on your timeline, share it in your groups, and we'll get started shortly. So as you are joining in, please leave me your name and your location. Thank you. Leave your name and your location. Let me know where you are watching from. Can you hear me? If you can hear me, just leave me a comment and let me know if you can hear me. So I'm waiting for you all. Welcome, everyone. As you are joining in, please share this video. Welcome to the Power Woman series. Our guest for today is Jumoke Oyebode. Wow, thank you, Pastor Vera from North Carolina. Welcome, 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 everyone. Welcome, Queenex, Lagos, Nigeria. Are they doing Econ? Yes, we can. Okay, you can hear me, I guess. Thank you, everyone, for joining. We're going to get started in about a minute. Testimonies. Yes, Lagos, Nigeria. Can we please share this video? We're going to get started in 30 seconds. Oh, okay. Someone says she can hear me and it's very clear. That's exciting. I testify. Thank you, everyone, for joining. All right, we're going to get started in 10 seconds. So before I bring in my guest, I am going to read our profile. Thank you, everyone, once again. So Jumoke Oyebode is a strong advocate of good governance and the development of governmental policies in Nigeria. She has been involved in developing agency frameworks aimed at increasing productivity and driving efficiency in their operations. Jumoke is passionate about people living with disabilities, especially children with special needs. And she has also been involved in fundraising drives to meet the needs of a hospice located in Lagos. She's a lawyer by profession, a social advocate, And today we'll be talking about our childhood dreams, goals, and ambition. Jumoke is a power woman that is blazing the trail in our community. So today we'll be talking about why she stayed in Anglican, why she went back to Nigeria after a degree in law from the prestigious University of Pennsylvania, and I work as a corporate lawyer, and many more. So stay tuned as I bring in Jumoke Oyebode. Can I have Jumoke, please? All right. Hello. Can you hear me?
Hi, good evening. Good afternoon,
Good
where you are.
Good evening, good evening. Welcome, and
Good
thank you
evening
for
to
joining
everyone
me.
in Nigeria.
Thank you for joining me today and for joining everyone here. People have been looking forward to this and they're like, oh, we can't wait to hear her speak. All right. Someone said that we both look amazing. That's a nice compliment. Thank you, Pastor Vera. Yes, the music. She
Thank
loves the
you.
music. Testimony. Yes, we are all a testimony. All right, so we're going to get started. Can you please introduce yourself?
Hello, can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Oh, great. Okay, so you said my name already. And I'm a lawyer. I studied at the University of Lagos. I had my secondary school education at Queen's College, Yaba. And then I went to University of Lagos for my bachelor's degree in law. And then I went to University of Pennsylvania for my master's degree in law. Came
Hello.
back to Nigeria, and I worked in a consulting firm until recently. So I'm a lawyer, I'm a Christian, and I'm an advocate for good governance and development of policies. But I mean, I think for me, what stands out the most is the fact that I'm Christian and I'm proud of my faith.
Amen. Yes, we are Christians and we are proud of our faith. Thank you for that introduction. So I didn't know that you actually went to Queen's College. That is like my dream school. That was my dream school when I was in elementary school. I really wanted to go to Queen's College, but my parents wouldn't let me out of town, and that's why I went to Abeokuta Girls Grammar School. So that's really nice. So you grew up in a university environment. I know that.
That's correct.
Yeah. So you grew up in Unilag, right? Unilag area.
That's
That's where
correct.
you grew up.
Yep.
So, how was that environment for you growing up, especially as a child, growing up in a university setting? How was that for you? How was that experience? How would you describe that experience?
Okay, so my father is a lecturer, and so he's lectured in 3 different universities over his 44-year career in lecturing. And we moved to Unilag when I was a child. I was a toddler, so I probably didn't even know my right from my left. I was, I think, 3. So I had everything about my life in Unilag.
Okay.
And wow, where do I start? I mean, that's the only place I knew as home until a few years ago when my dad retired and we had to move out of Unilag. So in many ways, Unilag shaped my life. I would say that because I grew up in a setting where everyone was intellectual. So it was, even with people that were my mates or slightly older than me, we had intellectual conversations. And of course, there was this serenity about living in a university environment, particularly when the schools are on holiday. It'll be so quiet. You can take your long walks and everything. And then for me, I had everything in Unilag. So just as it is in a university environment, you had your bank, you had your church, you had your everything, your supermarket. You wanted to fix something, there was a bookshop and all of those. So it was everything in one. And I mean, one of the benefits of it is I definitely had a lot of friends because of that, because I by being residents in the university, of course, made my house available to people. So they would always come to my house. And the good side of it was I have older brothers, and so my older brothers also had their friends around. So I always had company, and I think that's one of the things I really liked about my stay in Unilag.
Wow, that's
Oh,
cool.
and I was going to add something as well. I think living in the university environment stimulated my love for reading. So because I was
Okay.
staying in the university, I would go to the library. I didn't see it as a burden because it was a 5 minutes drive away from my house. So
Okay.
I was more interested in going to study, and it wasn't going to take anything from me. So I reckon that if I was living outside the university environment, it would have been a struggle.
Mhm.
So I take that as an advantage.
Okay. Oh, that's great. You said your dad is or was a did he retire? Your dad is retired now?
Yes, yes, it
Oh, okay.
is.
So he was a lecturer at the University of Pennsylvania. What was he
No,
teaching?
Lagos, Lagos.
Oh, University of Lagos. Okay. What was he teaching there?
My dad lectured in law, and
Okay. So
he taught the compulsory courses, and I had the
okay.
privilege of being in his class.
Are you serious? You were in the same
Yes.
class with your dad? Wow. That's amazing. So how did that feel? Like being in the same class? I don't think I would want to be in the same class with my dad. That's dreadful.
On the contrary, no, because for people that have passed through that system, they
Mm-hmm.
appreciate the gift of with all humility, and shout out to my dad, but my dad's a fantastic lecturer. So in class, I see him as a lecturer, and at
Okay.
home, I see him as my dad. And
Okay.
I guess the only thing that did to me was it definitely had me on my toes, especially with my academics and with my grades, because I knew that I was always going to be a reference point, and people would say, "Oh, this is this person's daughter," and all of that. So I was on my toes all the time. It was almost like I was being tested, each semester. I couldn't just let my hair down because I'm like, I can't fall below a certain expectation and all of that. But in terms of the actual classroom experience, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
once I enter the class, I just imagine that's my lecturer, and I don't think he's my dad. So even when I see him on the corridor, I go, "Good afternoon, sir," and then people look at me like, "Oh, what is wrong with you?" But when I'm at home, it's "Hello, daddy, how are you doing?"
But
When we're in faculty, "Good afternoon, sir."
well, that's actually funny. So, because your dad lectured in law, was that what inspired you to study law? Was your dad part of the inspiration? I know that my dad is a doctor, and when I was in elementary school, even through my high school, secondary school, I always said that I wanted to be a doctor. But sometimes when we look at it, we want to mirror what our parents are mirroring to us. So we want to mirror that back. So would you say that your dad was a strong factor in you choosing law, or was it something that you've always wanted to do by yourself?
Incidentally, I'm not sure that I was extremely passionate about law. Reason being that I come from a family of lawyers. So in my immediate family, my nuclear family, were 4 out of 5. And we even married a lawyer.
Okay.
So I have one sibling. Yeah, there's only one person who is not a lawyer in my immediate family. So I guess
Wow.
for me, from secondary school, my interests were very strong in government. I really liked the subject government, and anything that was going to put me in line with that, I was comfortable with. But I was just like, everyone around me is a lawyer. My maternal grandfather was a lawyer at that
Wow.
time. My dad, his yeah, his siblings also are lawyers, distinguished lawyers.
Wow.
Along the line, my mom is a lawyer. My brother was studying law. So it was like everyone around me is a lawyer. But I think I'm very grateful for that opportunity that
Yes.
law provides, the versatility that comes with law. And
Mm-hmm.
so even though initially I was still a bit hesitant, because in Nigeria, you know that people like us that struggle with figures and maths, we just, when you want to run away from the science class, and you are presumed to be smart. So, you
Yes.
just go for the law
Art
and,
class.
exactly. And even in it's now, we thank God that things are evolving. So people do not
Mm-hmm.
see creative arts as a second class degree or see
Mm-hmm.
any other thing. But I mean, 10 years ago, that was a conversation you probably couldn't have with your parents. So at that point, law just seemed like it was comfortable. And of course, like I said, my brother was studying law. That was the closest person to me in terms
Mm-hmm.
of who I could relate to. And I saw what that used to do with me. And then I must add that my dad might not have directly influenced me, but what he did was he provided so many materials that
And
I
so,
started learning. Exactly. So in secondary school, I remember how I was it was very random. I just used to read the books that my dad shared. I was reading about journalists, their experiences during the military era. I think during my GSC holiday, I spent my
mhm.
entire holiday watching what was called the Okuta panel. So all of
Yes.
those things, they're not things that, yes, they're not things that a young person will be interested in. But I found
In.
myself interested in those things. And I think so. And those things were made available because I could also have the conversations at home. So I could talk to my dad or my mom about things that were going on. So that
Mhm.
probably might have been a stronger influence than the
On
actual
you.
profession. Exactly. Because if I had to pick, I'm not sure that I wanted to be in the same faculty with my father, but
I
I didn't
know.
have a choice.
Yeah. Wow. That is interesting. That is interesting. I remember when I was young, my dad used to force me to watch NTA news, and I would be so uninterested. Like, I don't want to watch NTA news. It's so boring. But I think those acts are actually good. Like, it keeps you informed in one way or the other. So I think that's great. But it's interesting to note that you are from a family of lawyers. Wow. Okay, good to know. So, for those of you just joining us, I am on the live series called the Power Woman series, and my guest today is Jumoke Oyebode. Jumoke Oyebode has a law degree from the University of Pennsylvania and also the University of Lagos. So, Jumoke, you finished your undergraduate degree in law from Unilag. Could you please tell us about that experience and how that led you to the University of Pennsylvania? Like, there are so many schools in the US, and for you to have chosen the University of Pennsylvania, I know that's not an easy choice, especially because UPenn is an Ivy League. I mean, like, you must be super smart to get into UPenn. How did you do that? What was that process like?
Thank you, Sean. Okay, where do I start? So, like I said, I wish my brother was watching this, because I really give him a lot of credit. Thank you
Okay.
very much, Deji. Okay,
Thank you, baby.
um, so I started through what you call the direct entry system in Unilag, where I had to undergo a
Okay.
diploma program, and
Okay.
it was like an entry into full-time studies, but you're going into your second year. So
Okay.
I think from my second year, I had a conversation with one of my friends earlier in the week, and I said my aim was just to finish with a second class upper. I think that's what you would probably call a B plus in the US. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so that was all that I wanted. And
Okay.
so when my grades started coming in, I was like, okay, wow, and it just appeared like I was on a winning streak, thank God. But
Mm-hmm.
I have to give my brother credit in the sense that he had already set a precedent for me. So
Okay.
he also finished from the University of Lagos and the University of Pennsylvania, same
Oh,
degrees.
okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And
That's good.
coincident. And so what my brother did was sort of helped me through the process. So when other people were still finding it a bit difficult understanding what the
Oh.
university system was like, he had already told me, oh, this is how you answer your questions, this is what you do, and all of that. And that did a lot for me, because at the times that I needed the boost, in the booster in my grades, I had that opportunity. So that happened. So yes, I thank God, and I mean, I can't have this conversation without attributing it to God, because now that I look back, there was really nothing special about me. People read even more than I did, but I thank God, because there's a gift that I know that He's given me, and I probably didn't know that it was a gift then. So. Well, so I finished I finished as the fourth best student in my class, and then I knew I was going to go for my master's, and like I said, my brother had gone for his master's, so I had an idea of what it was like putting in my applications. Then I have this fantastic friend. My friend is a superstar, and I say that with all sense of humility to her. I don't know if she's watching, but
Did you tell her about
thank you for everything. Oh yes, I did. Thank you for everything. So she's like, oh, we're going to do our master's. Jumoke, let's start the process. I'm like, no, I'm on holiday. I'm not doing. She's like, no. And we started the process. We streamlined the school. So we did our application process together. And so the admissions came in. Now, University of Pennsylvania wasn't the only school I got admitted into.
Oh, wow.
In fact,
so
I got admitted into... Yes, I had 4. So I had 6 applications. I had 2 rejections, and I had 4 admissions. So I got into University of California, Los Angeles. I got into... a good school too. Yes, it is. I got into Cornell.
Did you have to write GRE? Okay.
No. So for the master's degree in law, you don't have to. I mean, because a lot of the systems outside the US, even though they have law as their first degree, it's for a considerable number of time. So a law degree in Nigeria takes about 5 years to complete, which is sufficient to show your capabilities. So I guess that's why you don't probably need a GRE for law. So I got into Cornell, which is Ivy League as well.
Yes.
I got into NYU. And I got into Penn.
Wow. So what made you choose Penn out of those 4 schools? And what 2 schools were you rejected?
Oh, I was rejected by Harvard and Columbia. Now for Harvard, my dad went to Harvard. So it just seemed natural that I would want to apply to Harvard, even though I knew how competitive it was. And I mean, with benefit of hindsight now, I'm not sure I would have that application if I didn't have the needing to. But then it just seemed like the rational thing to do. So I applied into Harvard. And by the way, my friend just for me graduated from Harvard. So when I say I have superstar friends.
Nice. Wow, that's great. So you guys are like superstars.
So Harvard and Columbia rejected. So why did I pick Penn? That's a bit complicated.
Okay.
Because first, like I mentioned, my brother went to Penn. I also have another family member that went to Penn. So I thought I was going to be most comfortable with that. Along the line, the decision became very difficult to make. But I prayed. And I mean, I do not undermine. For me, prayer is what makes the difference.
Yes.
Especially when you're Christian, when you're a person of faith. So I prayed, and the Lord said, go to Penn. And I was saying to myself, okay, I hope it's not because I think I'll be in familiar territory, but I still heard go to Penn. And that led me to Penn. And my going to Penn definitely has an impact on who I am
today.
Now. I guess we'll get into that as the questions go, but I'm glad I went to Penn.
Wow, nice. Well, I'm glad you went to Penn too, because if you didn't go to Penn, there was no way I could have met you. So that's great. So now you said some things that got me thinking. The power of friendship, the power of association. So your brother was a great influence in your life, and so also is your friend. And
Still
because
is.
your friend, yeah, because your friend was persistent, she had the right word in the right season. And that's one of the things I tell people personally. You need to choose your association carefully. Some people would say that I can be friends with anyone. No, you have to choose your friends, and you have to make sure that your friends are high flyers like you. If you want to fly high like an eagle, you can't be, roaming around with ducks. You need to be in an environment where you are constantly challenged. So I really love the fact that you had a good friend in your life that was able to push you when you needed it the most. So now you are a lawyer, you're licensed to practice law in Nigeria. What advice would you give to someone that is seeking to, have a in law based on your own experiences? What advice would you give to such a person?
Oh, so I guess things have changed now. I'm still a bit, well, I would say that I'm still a young lawyer if I compare
Okay.
myself with the people that I'm surrounded with. But from my little experience, uh, I would say that law it's really is driven primarily by passion and secondary
Mm-hmm.
and then you consider profit later. So if you think that you want to make money quickly, I'm not sure law is the course
Okay.
you want to study, because whatever it is you do, either you work in-house, that's when you work as a legal advisor in a company or a company secretary, or you work in
Mhm.
government, or
Okay.
as a legal officer, or you work in a law firm and you practice law.
Okay.
Whatever decision you make, it's a profession that where you have to pay your dues. So I
Okay.
guess if
You
you
have to
think
pay your
that
dues.
exactly, you have to pay your dues, and so you have to be sure that you're primarily driven by passion. The profits will come, but it might not come at the pace that you want. So if you're passionate about it, of course you do it with passion, and then the profit comes
Mhm.
later. But you are not
Okay.
discouraged because that's what you really want to do. So I would say that you have to be passionate about it. I would also say that it's good to speak to people that are lawyers or people in, so I
Okay.
won't even just restrict it to law. So for
Mhm.
young people, I would say talk to people that are doing what you think you want to study, because
Okay.
they would have perspectives based on their own experiences that they can share with you. And I mean, half the time when you make a decision to study a course in secondary school, you really don't know what you're doing. You just have an idea of what you're doing, but you don't know it. You don't know the full picture. So it'll be good for you to speak to older people who have been in that field, and then they can give you the benefits of their own experience and the realities, and you're like, okay, I think I still want to go ahead with this. So I think that's
Wow.
my advice. And then of
Yeah.
course you must, if you want to study law, you must love to read. I mean,
Oh.
to be a successful lawyer, you have to read.
Yeah.
You have to read.
You have to read. Wow. Well, one thing that I like that you said was you have to talk to people that have walked the path. A lot of people like to think they are smart by themselves, but we need other people, and we are surrounded by people for a reason. To ask people that have gone through those experiences. It's not like you would do everything that person said. Of course, you just listen and pick out the things that you know would be beneficial to you. For those of you just joining us, this is the Power Woman series, and with me today is Jumoke Oyebode, a lawyer that is licensed to practice law in Nigeria. So, Jumoke, I have a question here. So, I've met a lot of people in my life that, you know, traveled from their country, be it Nigeria or Ghana or, whatever country it is, and they travel to study in the United States. And many of those people don't go back. I mean, seeing you complete a law degree from the University of Pennsylvania and deciding to go back to Nigeria, It's like, wow. So what inspired you to go back to Nigeria? And, a lot of people would give anything just to have that opportunity to stay, but you actually finished a degree in law and packed your bags and went back to Nigeria. What inspired you to go back?
Whew, everything about this conversation still goes back to my faith. So, like I
Okay.
said, I knew that I was to be in Philadelphia, but I didn't,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't, I didn't know that I was supposed to live there. So,
Okay.
I mean, when I was done and it was time to, okay, ask myself the hard questions. Do you want to stay back? Do you want
Mm-hmm.
to go back to Nigeria? It
All
just,
right.
like, going back to Nigeria kept popping up. And I mean, like I said, I already had people ahead of me. So for everyone
Mm-hmm.
that I know in my circle, like, that went to school abroad, returned to Nigeria. And so I said to
Okay.
myself, I think I want to go back. And so when I was going to go, like, I don't even know if a lot of people forgave me in the church that we both where I used to attend and where I met you, because I was in church
Uh-huh.
on Sunday and I was
Yes.
saying hello to everybody, but they didn't know that I
Uh-huh.
had my bag packed, and they didn't know that my flight was Monday night. And so I just
Wow.
left because I didn't
I
want
can't
anyone
remember
to
if
talk
you
me out
told me
of.
or not. Yeah, I
I
can't
gave you
remember.
a hint. I think I
You
gave
gave
you
me a
a hint,
hint.
but I didn't. Yeah, but I didn't tell you exactly that I was leaving because I knew people were going to talk me into trying to stay and everything. But I knew that I wasn't cut out to stay. If anything, I had to be led. So even when I returned to Nigeria, it wasn't like I returned to a job. I still had to go through the
Mhm.
process of getting a job
Job
and
and
everything.
all
So
that.
I didn't return because I thought I had everything um sorted. But I was to be in Philadelphia for a purpose. I thank God that He fulfilled that purpose, and then He brought me back to Nigeria. And yeah, so I hope that
Wow,
answers the
that is
question.
interesting. Wow, wow, wow. So there was a question that I was meant to ask when you said that you were rejected by Harvard. A lot of people cannot deal with rejection. Of course, when you were rejected at Harvard, you had other options, but I just wanted to find out how you react to rejection. How did that make you feel? I know that you said, it wasn't a do or die affair, but I mean, this is Harvard and you got offers from other Ivy Leagues, but it would have been really nice, if you, especially the fact that your friend, got into Harvard. So how did that make you feel when you got that rejection letter?
Um, so like I said, I wasn't expecting it. I knew that it was highly competitive, but of course, we're human beings, so
Mhm.
it's very hard for you to just believe that you do not feel any emotions towards rejection. I think that's being in
Yes.
denial. What you
Okay.
now do with that emotion is what is important. So at that
Mhm.
time, I didn't think it was an issue. But I think for me, the rejection that really hit me was
Okay.
when I got my New York bar results and I didn't pass the exam. I
Your
cried
new what?
like,
Can you say
you
that
know,
again? I didn't pick
New
that.
York bar, the
Okay.
New York
New
bar
York bar.
exam, the qualifying
Okay.
exam. Yes. I cried
Oh my
so
God.
much because it was like my life was on hold all through the period I was studying,
Mm-hmm.
and then I knew other people that had passed. My brother wrote it and passed. I was like, oh yes, I think I can do it and everything.
Oh,
And and then I didn't pass it. Oh, it was a painful thing for me. But what I
yes.
guess more recently, which was one of the things that I knew I was going to share on this program, more recently, I got a rejection from a job application process. And
Okay.
I didn't realize how much growth had happened because
Uh-huh.
I wasn't upset. I was
Mm.
like, oh, okay. I accepted it and I'm like, oh, okay. And then I decided to pick my learning curve from that experience. So
Okay.
I was like, oh, this is fine. I think these are the things that I need, and this process has helped me identify those things. So, and
Mhm.
then I was comparing notes with 5, 6, 7 years ago when I got rejections in different areas, and I just seemed to you know,
You
just
seem to
collapse
handle
into my
it better.
space. Now, of course, I seem to handle it better. So I guess what I would say is it's a process. So the fact that you get rejected and the fact that you cry about it doesn't mean that you're a weak person. It just means that
Okay.
later on your capacity expands, and
Hmm.
so subsequent rejections don't have an impact on you as much as the previous ones. So you would
Well,
give yourself the you as long as you're willing to go through that process, you see that you get
mhm.
better. And I like I always say, I do not take away the place of faith at all.
I think we're
When
having,
you are
okay.
walking with
I can hear
God
you now.
and going through a
We're
process,
having a little bit of
you're
technical
able to
issue.
handle things
Okay. I
better.
can hear you now. Can you hear me? Can you hear?
Yes, so I think that's what I would say about rejection.
Okay, I can hear you now. All right. So for me, rejection can be painful, just like you said. But one thing I have noticed in my own life is when I'm rejected from, an opportunity, or I face any type of rejection, it energizes me. So instead of feeling bitter, I try to use it as a learning experience, and I try to forge ahead, and it makes me more innovative, because if I'm rejected from something, then my brain is going to go like, okay, I have to find a solution to this. What other way can I, get this thing that I'm looking for? So one thing I'll definitely say is that rejection should not be viewed in a negative way, although it can be hard depending on the type of rejection. But as we grow, rejection helps us to build capacity, like you said. So for our viewers at home, as you're watching, if you have any questions for Jumoke, you can please leave it in the comment box. At this point, I would like to take a short break, and we will be back shortly. Thank you. Can we go on a short break? Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. So I am interviewing Jumoke Oyebode. Jumoke is a lawyer, and she's licensed to practice law in Nigeria. She has degrees in law from the University of Lagos and the University of Pennsylvania. So now, Jumoke, I know that you worked in the corporate world. I want you to give us a little bit about that experience in the corporate world. Did you experience any form of gender bias? If yes, how did you handle them?
Okay, so I think it's a great thing to have that experience.
Mm-hmm.
So I would typically tell people to, as much as possible, try and get as much corporate world experience as you can. So I'm grateful to God that I worked in an environment where, um, as much as possible, you're working with international best practices, and so you could also see women attain the same heights as men, and
Okay.
it's actually, it would be a more difficult conversation for me because I didn't see the limitations. There are people who had their families, who were women, and who still rose to the peak of their career in that organization. But me saying this doesn't mean that it would apply to all corporate jobs in Nigeria or even globally. I guess it depends on where you are and where you're working. So you'd probably still have a few of those things in different places. But from my own experience, no.
Okay. That's good. And I also know that you left the corporate world recently. What led to that decision, and what do you currently do?
Um, okay, so what led to that decision? I just wanted to have a career break. I'm young, so it's not like I'm an old person.
Okay.
But I think that one of the things that we unfortunately, and I speak for those of us that live in Nigeria, it's hard to make
Okay.
tough decisions like that because we have so many commitments. So, but sometimes you just need to take a career break and decide what exactly you should be doing. Yes, you earn the money or you earn the income rather. You're rising through and hitting the you're rising through, you're getting promoted, but you then ask yourself, is this really what I want to do? Or I think I want to do
Mm,
something that puts me more in line with what I
your
think would,
purpose.
exactly. And so if I want to do what is connected to my purpose, then I better just take a back seat, reappraise and take it and then drop a step towards achieving that purpose. So that's what informed my decision. I just wanted to have a career break. And what am I doing now? I'm on a break, but it's not exactly, it's a break that has done a lot to me, building my
Mhm,
personal development, my capacity, and most
mhm,
importantly, my faith. So, I mean, we're living in very tough times right now. So,
mhm,
you really need to stay rooted in God and in whom you believe. If you believe in Him, it's very important for you to stay rooted in Him. So, yes, I think that's the summary of what is happening right now. I mean, on a personal scale, of course, I love to write. So,
mhm.
and closely related to what I said my passion is. So I like to write, and my writing just revolves around the improving different government agencies or different government sectors. Because in my little sojourn in the corporate world, I had to deal with government agencies on behalf of people, and sometimes it's really difficult. So I mean, on just being on the other side and saying this is what you should do and this is what you should do, that's also something that I'm doing. Yeah. So, but right now I'm on a break.
Awesome. So Jumoke is currently on a break. So, could you please shed more light into, agency-specific policies that is aimed at productivity and effectiveness? It seems like abstract and vague. I just want you to shed more light into what that really means. You know.
Okay, so I guess my passion, I'm very interested in policy,
Okay.
and that also stems from my faith because I understand that God is a God of order and He's a God of perfection.
Yes.
So in anything that you have to do, you have to do it right. So
Mm-hmm.
and I guess for me, I hate when I see things done in a haphazard manner. I hate when I see people take advantage of systems. And so I guess I'm very interested in getting, I mean, some agencies or some public institutions work as they should. And so getting involved in either designing a policy or helping with implementation or helping with in supporting in any way. Um, yes, I guess that for me, I take it so personal that if I know anyone who works in a government agency and I know that there's something wrong with that agency, I would speak to you, and it's not because I'm doing it for any profit or anything, but I want things to get better. So I don't mind reaching out to the head of an organization just because I think that you have a lot to do and you can do things better.
And you can
Excuse me, I think
improve.
that's where my interest lie because public institutions in Nigeria are they're evolving, but they're evolving at a
Yes.
very slow pace, and I think it can get better either at the
Yes.
state level or the federal level. So I guess
Yes.
that's where my interests lie right now. And
Okay. That's good. That's very good. So let me move on to some more personal questions. I know that you write a lot, and I love how you use everyday stories to pass your message across. So I wanted to know what inspires you. Like, how do you get inspired to write those things that you write? And I know you're a very private person, so people might not be able to connect with you, but just shed more light into how you gain your inspiration into your writings, because I believe that you have powerful writings that I can relate with. And the fact that you use everything, maybe something as simple as going out and then maybe something happened along the way you write is just kind of it's laced with wisdom. So let me ask, how do you gain your inspiration?
I'm so sorry, but I missed your entire question.
All right. We lost our guest there, but I was asking her about how she gains that inspiration. We'll bring her back shortly. We can take another break now. Yes, she's back. You missed my entire question. So I was asking, it's okay. Can you hear me now?
Perfect. Yes, I can.
Okay, so I was asking that how do you gain your inspiration? I read a lot of your writings, and I love the fact that you could use everyday stories, everyday things to pass your message across. So what I see in what you write is that your writings are laced with wisdom. And when I see writings that are laced with wisdom, I am attracted to such writings. Like, I want to learn. I'm always looking to learn. So most of the people that I follow, most of the people that I try to connect with, they are people that I can learn from. You know what I mean? So I just wanted to know, like, what inspires you to write in such a way?
Thank you very much for this question. So I guess I'll go back to my Philly story. So God definitely led me to Philadelphia, and He led me to Pastor Fumi Obilano. Pastor Fumi, I love you very much.
Mm-hmm.
She probably don't, I mean, I probably don't say it as much as I really feel it, but Pastor Fumi is amazing. And I say this
Yes, that's
because
my
when I work,
pastor.
I know. So when I walked into Living Spring, I was still a bit hesitant. I'm like, I mean, I have an Anglican background and all of that. How am I
Mm-hmm.
going to cope?
Yes,
But
yes.
then Pastor Fumi, I noticed, always had messages laced with experiences. So that's how it started, and then I got back to Nigeria, and a lot of things happened to me and my faith during that period when I was at Philly. I got back to Nigeria, and then I realized that regular experiences will happen, and then the Holy Spirit just tells me, "Oh, write about it." So
Okay.
initially, I was like, I didn't want to seem like I was very churchy or something.
Okay.
So I
Yeah.
struggled with it. But then
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So I started in 2016. I didn't know how to find, I didn't know how to set up a blog or anything. So the only medium of expression I had to share it was Facebook.
Okay.
And I started with Facebook. And what I
Mm-hmm.
realized was the more I let the Holy Spirit teach me, the more experiences I got. So sometimes when I even read those posts after writing them, I'm like, no, it can't be. It's not me. I really know it's not me. I know it's the Holy Spirit, because I'm wondering, how am I supposed to link, how do you link driving and forgiveness? How do you link, I don't even know. How do you link
Yeah.
clearing the junk in your house to
Mm-hmm.
intercession? Like, it's so, I knew that it wasn't me. And I just thank God for opening me up to that dimension that he wants of me. And of course, I really thank Pastor Fumi for the seeds sown. And she didn't know that she was sowing those seeds then.
Yes. Shout out to Pastor Fumi. Thank you, Pastor Fumi, for inspiring a generation. We really appreciate you. Now, my next question, should we be expecting a book soon? Because to me, each time I read from you, it's like there's a book coming up somewhere. Am I in line? Am I in the spirit? Am I in tune?
By the grace of God, yes, you are.
Wow. Wow. Awesome. So we are expecting a book soon. Yes. You definitely
By the grace
sound
of
like a
God.
professor. You sound like a professor. So don't worry, bring it on. We're going to read that book. We're going to read that book. So, for those of you that are just joining us, I have with me today Jumoke Oyebode. She's a lawyer and she's licensed to practice law in Nigeria. She has a bachelor's degree in law from the University of Lagos and a master's degree in law from the University of Pennsylvania. And this is the Power Woman series where I am interviewing power women from across the world, and people are sharing their stories. And this program is being held every Saturday, 3 p.m. Eastern if you live in the US, and if you live in Nigeria, it's 8 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. West African time. So now, Jumoke, I have two more questions for you. And one of the questions that I have right now is, if you were given the opportunity to lead Nigeria, what are the top 3 things you would do differently? Did you get my question? Hello? Are you still there? Can you hear me?
No, so I think you froze again. Okay, yes, I can hear you now.
Okay, so I said that if you were given the opportunity to lead Nigeria, what top 3 things would you do differently?
If I didn't hear that.
If you were given the opportunity to lead Nigeria, what top 3 things would you do differently? Did you get that?
Can't hear you. I think I will just sign out
Okay,
and
that's
sign in
fine.
again because I can't hear you.
All
Okay.
right. Can we go on a short break, please? Welcome back. Welcome to the Power Woman series. With me today is Jumoke Oyebode. Jumoke is licensed to practice law in Nigeria. She has a bachelor's degree in law from the University of Lagos and a master's degree in law from the University of Pennsylvania. Jumoke, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
All right. So my question was, if you were given the opportunity to lead Nigeria, what top 3 things would you do differently? Can you hear me now?
What would I do? What would I do differently? Did I get that?
Yes. Yes.
Wow. I think so this is not me evading the question, but a lot of things about governance are beyond individuals. And so
Okay.
that puts me in a very difficult position because I don't know to what extent I will be able to change structures that would change
Okay.
the country.
Okay.
So
But what would be
I
your
probably
focal
can't answer
point?
that question, but I guess I would just try as much as possible to get the right people to do the job. And that's tough. In a country like Nigeria, that's really tough. But that's the
Mhm.
closest to me doing things differently.
Okay. All right. So we've come to the last question. And if you are watching us and you have a question for Jumoke, please leave your questions in the comment box. I'll be reading out the questions. The last question, Jumoke, and thank you for joining me today. In closing, what would you like to tell our audience about success at work and in life?
So I think that you should have a goal, but I think that your success matrix should be defined primarily by your faith in God, and also by the goals that you have set. So a lot of times people think they set metrics um, that are not specific to their situations, their circumstances. And so even though they might be succeeding in certain areas, they struggle to accept those successes because they haven't set their own matrix in line with whatever it is that they have set as their goals or what God has told them. So I think it's pretty much a personal thing. There's something my dad says, and I love it so much. He says, I would say it in Yoruba and then I'll say it in English as well. He says, Mafia go ala go sare. And that means don't run with another person's timepiece. Define your own path of success. Define your own path of success, and exactly, so that you're not carried away by other people's success stories. You know what your path is. You ask God for grace and you walk in it and achieve it.
Wow, I love that. Define your own path of success. This is this is like wisdom in these days where people are constantly comparing themselves to another, and the race is about, oh, A did this, then I must do that. So you're saying that define your own path of success and don't let what other people are doing, don't let it affect your own definition of what success is. And to this end, this brings us to the end of today's edition of the Power Woman series. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you everyone for joining. I don't think anyone has a question, but thank you so much for your time. I really do appreciate it. And until next time, what you wanted to say something? Can we bring her back? All right, well, define your own path of success. Yes, success can be defined by your faith in God and how you set your goals. I absolutely agree. So you were about to say something, Jumoke.
Yes, just my closing remarks. I don't know who needs to hear this, but I just know that no matter how much you feel like you have fallen, as long as you come back to God, God will bring you out of whatever it is that you are in. So if you think that you're falling into sin, or you're falling into death, or you're falling into indecision, or you're falling into a bad place, God is definitely stretching his hands towards you, and he's willing to take you up as long as you let him. So I thought to share that with us here.
Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You're a blessing to a lot. You might not realize it, but you're definitely a blessing, and I really appreciate you. Thank you for joining us today. To everyone that tuned in today, thank you. I really appreciate you. We are going to be telling our stories, and join me next week. I have another fabulous guest who is also a lawyer, by the way. I'm like, oh, okay, is the Lord saying something? I am going to have another lawyer next week by the special grace of God, and I want you all to join me. I'll be introducing her, maybe by tomorrow or on Monday, so that you can get to know a little bit about her. And until next time, I say be intentional, be exceptional, and be on point. See you and have a blessed day. Bye, everyone. Bye, Jumoke.
Bye. Thank you, everyone.